Item number 5, presentation by Daniel Rivera with the Grindstone Co-working regarding the Hive Effect program. Ms. Ramirez?
Yes, sir. Mr. Daniel Rivera is owner of the Grindstone Co-working Space. It's an office business suite here in Edinburgh. We partner with him and sponsor the Hive Effect program, which he'll speak about in just a little bit. It includes 6 seminars, and it's part of the business retention and expansion program efforts that the previous board and administration wanted to continue and in an effort to help those new entrepreneurs to the city.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to step out just for a minute for a meeting that I've got to go to, and then I'll be returning in just a little bit.
All right. For the record, Mr. Posada leaving the meeting. Will be back at 6:55, or time is 6:55.
Mr. Rivera.
Mr. Rivera.
Hi, thank you, board, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here to speak to you guys about Hive Effect. I was told that the screens were not going to work today, so I printed out my presentation, and I had asked Nelda to pass those out to you. They're not very text heavy, but you can follow along as I go through this, and we can kind of take questions at the end. So, like I said, my name is Daniel Rivera. I founded Grandstone Co-working about 2 years ago, and together with the EDC, the Hive Effect program was developed, and I kind of want to walk through a couple of things so you can kind of understand what the Hive Effect program does and how that functions within Grindstone Co-working. So I know, just briefly knowing a little bit about each of you on the board, I know each one of you is an entrepreneur, and I want you to kind of remember back in the day when you had your first idea to start your first business. And so, a lot of times you ask yourself questions, can I make this? What am I going to do? Where do I go for help? Where do I get started? A lot of entrepreneurs are kind of going through that all the time. And so if you do any research on a startup ecosystem, I mean, the big, everyone points to Silicon Valley, everyone points to Austin, places like that. But there's a lot of research done on startup ecosystems, and there are a lot of moving parts. And so when you look at a healthy startup ecosystem, there's local government, universities, mentors, service providers, large companies, investment funding, and community events. All of those together are what make up the startup ecosystem. Now, when we're trying to figure out stuff before, we wanted to talk about, like, what are the resources available to us, what are our assets, and then how can we nurture and create something in Edinburgh that's going to add to that ecosystem. And so what we did was, and I'm on the 4th slide if you follow me. This is the first time I've done it without PowerPoint. What we did was we created a program called Hive Effect. And so Hive Effect was a 3-pronged approach to add into the ecosystem for startups to foster a small business community. As you know, if you look at any politician at any level, they talk about how small business is the backbone of the economy, and how small businesses help nurture the economy. And so we wanted to figure out how can we add to this ecosystem and amplify what's going on, and then fill in gaps that we felt that we could, help add value to. And so the 3-pronged approach starts off with education. So we feel that education is like a really big part of it. So when you're starting a business, if you guys have ever read the book E-Myth, it's an entrepreneur myth. He talks about the 3 different mindsets of an entrepreneur, and most people who start a business have the technician mindset. The example they give in the book is, someone who bakes cakes and they're really good cakes is told you should open up a bakery. Someone who's really good at construction stuff is told you should start a construction company. But what happens is, there's other aspects to entrepreneurship that you may not be good at. There's the entrepreneur aspect, the manager aspect. And so a lot of times technicians go into a business not understanding what the other aspects of those business are. And so we feel that the training and the education aspect is a really important part of it. With our training and our growth part, we've created classes within Grindstone, and we teach those classes with a bunch of different partners around the community. And I'll kind of get into those partners in a second. The second aspect of it is co-working. Now, co-working is a very new thing. I'm proud to say that Grindstone Co-working was the first co-working space south of San Antonio. So if you do research into co-working, it's across the world. There's huge monsters in the co-working space now. One of them is called WeWork. There's probably over 35, 40 in Austin now. And so a long time ago, I was in that entrepreneur mindset of I think I want to quit my job and start a business. And you get into that what if scenarios. And so I founded Grandstone a little over 2 years ago. And so what Grandstone Co-working is, and what co-working is it's more than an executive business center. I know that some of you had the opportunity to be there, but in different aspects. I don't think any of you have had a chance to work from there, and that's kind of where the magic happens. Grandstone Co-working is a 4,000 square foot space. It has in our main building 5 private offices, a training room, a conference room, phone booths, a cafe, and it's an open area for entrepreneurs and people to go in and work. And so the easiest way to think of it is, how many times have you been to a Starbucks or a coffee shop or whatever and you see people working on their laptops? Now, coffee shops were not made for business. You can take meetings in there once in a while, but you don't have access to a printer. The people around you aren't necessarily, your coworkers. You can't turn to someone and say, hey, read my email. How does this sound? Because they'd probably look at you like you're a weirdo. So what Grindstone does is it offers a membership option to office space. And so people pay a membership, or they can have a private office, and they can come into Grindstone and work alongside each other. And so everyone's their own business, everyone's doing their own thing, but now you're in a community of other professionals trying to build their business. And so co-working as part of Hive Effect adds a lot of value to the program, because with that, what we've done with the EDC is the EDC sponsors memberships to Grandstone Co-working. So beyond the classes, we've sponsored between 10 and 15 memberships to Grandstone Co-working for 6 months. And so those people who apply to the program, who get accepted, go into Grandstone, and now they have an office space that's sponsored by the EDC. If you look at Mission, if you guys are familiar with the Mission Seed Building, Alex Mead was in Grandstone Co-working before he opened up the Seed Building. And so he was picking my brain. We worked together and talked about, I talked to him about, what I learned in the conferences, what we were doing. I gave him advice on how he should, try to structure memberships over there, some of the pitfalls that we go through. Alex and I still talk, on a regular basis about, each of us having a co-working space basically that we're running. And so the number one question I get about Grindstone is, what kind of people work in there? And that's kind of a hard question to answer, because it's an array of people who work from the Grindstone. Reading from a list of members who we've had before or now, we have professional engineers, a realty company, construction, insurance, financial services, web design, a nutritionist. We have right now a worm farmer who sells compost on Amazon, which is pretty random. We have consultants, attorneys, and we also have out-of-area people who come in, and right now we have a member who's from San Diego who moved to the Valley, who works for U.S. Bank, but is a mobile worker and works at a Grindstone. So adding this mixture into the Hive Effect program gives another layer of value to the cohort members that are coming in. The next thing that we have is mentorship. And so with the training, it gives us an opportunity to teach these people who are starting their business or who have an existing business. And it also gives the members of Grandstone community and the surrounding community an opportunity to be teachers or to be mentors to these people. So if you're coming in wanting to start a bakery, but you have no idea how finances work, we may have a CPA there. We may have an attorney who can help you structure your company or give you the advice for that. The next slide after that is a video that I can email you guys the link to, and you can watch one of our Hive Effect members talk about his experience through the program. And then on the next slide, the last part is our partners. And so I think the way I like to think of the way the Hive Effect was structured is kind of like I would assume like a P3. And so the opportunity that's given us to partner with other entities around the Rio Grande Valley has been really good. We've worked with, so far in these past 2 cohorts, the UTRGV Entrepreneurship Department, the UTRGV SBDC, who we have an MOU with. We work with the Women's Business Center from Cameron County, with the SBA. We've created a whole internship program with UTRGV where we brought in interns every semester to work in the Grindstone and network with a bunch of different professionals. We worked with People Fund, Lift Fund. Plains Capital donated 35 iPads to Grindstone Co-working, and they had a big an event there, and they had a whole ceremony because they wanted to help entrepreneurship within our community. We worked with, like I said, the Mission Seed Building. We worked with BBVA Compass, Code RGV, RGV Partnership. We've talked with Lori Simmons from UTRGV, and in Westico, they're opening up the Center for Innovation and Commercialization in the Westico EDC building, which is kind of like the Seed Building. And we've also worked with the UTRGV Fab Lab. Working on this program and trying to add value to the community for these past 2 cohorts, we've been able to kind of establish ourselves in Edinburgh as a resource for entrepreneurs, a place to go, a community of small business. And so I'd like to invite you guys into Grindstone Co-working so you can see the space for yourself and kind of see what's happening around just across the street from here.
Okay. Appreciate it, Mr. Rivera. Any questions?
I do have some questions. If you could start over because I didn't hear it. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. No, I'm just.
So
I just a quick question, and I think we asked this the last time we were going over all the different contracts, and maybe you covered it here, but I didn't find it in the literature. How do you track which businesses actually start in Edinburgh, or do you track that, or do you have a track record for who has started, where the benefit for the city is? Because we've been asked questions about various things, being new on the board, and one of the major things is what is the effect on the economy or the job market, with all of our programs, and yours included.
yeah, so that's always been on my mind on how we can track these things, and I think everything kind of depends on what are the metrics that we're looking for. I think we want to have a positive scenario coming out of these things, and with entrepreneurship, a lot of times if you look at statistics, a lot of businesses fail, and so one of the things that we work on is trying to nurture those businesses and make sure that they have an opportunity to succeed. We haven't asked for financials from people, but I know just off the top of my head, there's been multiple scenarios where like one member of our cohort now is at 5 full-time jobs. She's with her business has created 5 full-time jobs and 15 reoccurring freelance jobs every month. And so I haven't asked how much do you pay them, or, what are the salaries for your full-time employees or anything like that. But there's always conversations being had with those members within the cohort, and we try to keep in contact with them even after they've graduated from there. We've done this, we're in the middle of our second round with this, and we haven't had a lot of consistency as far as start and end dates, because we've never been on a set schedule with the EDC and with funding. And so I think that if we talk about the first cohort, I can go back and track those for you and see how many people are still working within Grindstone, some of the people that ended up dropping out of the Hive Effect program end up taking jobs because the business that they thought they wanted to start wasn't producing enough income for them to survive on, so they go apply somewhere else or take a job. But we don't have any metrics right now that we're measuring on a number standpoint.
I just had one other question. If, for instance, the funding with the EDC is to help you, I think it's annual contract, $6,000 a month or something like that. Is your business model a self-sustaining type of business, or without the EDC support, you couldn't function, or could you still?
It would be a lot harder to function without the EDC support. It definitely helps out a lot. It doesn't, those $6,000 are not to the point where I'm able to hire a full-time employee, but I actually just hired my first part-time employee last week, and they're just starting now, so it definitely helps. And then another thing that I didn't mention during the presentation was 1 year into Grindstone, a little after a year, and after the Hive Effect program started, we were able to expand from 506 West University to 502 also. And so now we lease out 502 University, which is the gray house right across the street. And so we added 6 more offices into that. And so if you look at Grindstone's income, we took on more overhead really quickly into it, but we felt that it was the right decision because we were adding to the community and adding value into the total mix of what we're doing. And so it's it's been an uphill battle, but the EDC's funding definitely does help. And I think in more ways than just Grindstone itself. I think if you look at the money that the EDC has allocated, helps Grindstone, which helps my business individually. It helps the businesses that they sponsor to have memberships within Grindstone. And then what happens a lot of times too is those businesses use the services of other businesses within the community. And so if you're a cohort member coming in and all of a sudden you hire the CPA out of there, or the realty company because you're looking for a house, or the construction company because they're building your house, all of a sudden the velocity of the dollar is increased, very quickly. And I think it helps multiple businesses all at the same time.
Without a doubt, I think you got a good thing going on. But my concern is, how much are we paying a month?
The contract is a 12-month contract, and so it includes 6 seminars to be conducted within that 12-month period.
How much
So
are we
that's-
paying a month? I mean,
It's $6,250 for the 6 seminars.
6,000?
250 for the 6 seminars. So it's a total of $37,500. So it's not monthly for the year, but it's for the 6 seminars as they're conducted.
Okay.
So $6,250 per seminar.
How many seminars are there?
6 total in the contract.
And what do those seminars include, sir?
Each time we've had a cohort, there's a different group of people, and so we try to add value to what that cohort's doing. So everyone's at different stages of their business, and a lot of time we have one-on-one communication asking, where do you feel like you need the most help? Some of the basic ones have been like having a CPA teach a class, which is what we did in December, about what should you be doing to wrap up the year? What should you be looking forward to in 2018 to help with your taxes? Another one that we've done is we've done a financial forum where we bring in People Fund, Lyft Fund, a couple different banks. We brought in EDC representatives, the SBA, and we started talking about if you wanted to get an SBA loan, how would you do that? If you want to, get a small loan from People Fund, then what does your credit score need to look like? What do your P&Ls need to look like? How do you develop your P&Ls so you look presentable to a bank? And so we try to do those. I think the way that the contract is structured is kind of misleading because we weren't really sure, I remember, how to structure the contract as far as payments were concerned. So they put it as far as like a seminar basis. We have more than 6 seminars during those 6 months when the cohort's there. Some of them are Hive Effect classes. Some of them we'll bring in the SBDC or someone else to host a class. But it also helps pay for the memberships and the sponsorships of those people. So the memberships for those 15 people per month is included within that seminar price, if that makes sense.
So they get to use your facility?
Yes, sir. They get full-time memberships at Grindstone Coworking, which gives them access 8 to 6 Monday through Friday. They have access to a conference room. I allow them to use the training room if they want to host any classes, and access to our community events and any other classes that may be put on there.
Do they still have to pay rent, though? Do they pay rent?
No, sir.
No.
So if you're part of the cohort,
You get free membership to
you
Grindstone.
get free membership. Do they have a place there to stay?
So it's open seating. So they get a membership to the open seating so they can pick
But they don't
whichever
have an
seat.
office there?
No, sir. Not an office, but they get a membership. And most of out of the 4,000 square feet where we have the open seating, I want to say like 90% of it is open and then like 10% of it is
Okay.
But they get still access to the training room, the conference room, the printer, things like that.
So how much, like these CPAs, these SBAs, do they charge you when they go present?
No, sir. They're always looking to kind of
Pitch
They're always
their
looking-
service or whatever?
not necessarily like the SBA program. Their metrics. They're governed by they're part of the government. So their metrics are they have to have interactions with X amount of entrepreneurs per year. And so for them, they love coming over because we have a built-in audience. I think another thing too is when you have a small business and you have a small business idea and you want to go do something, and this is where I was before I started Grindstone, I would go to the Small Business Development Center and take a class, and then I would go back to my kitchen table and be by myself. And then I would go to an SBA class or a chamber event or whatever, and then I'm at Starbucks on a laptop all by myself, not really able to bounce ideas or learn or grow from anyone else. And so this gives us the opportunity to have a class, and then you come out and you're it almost feels like school, right? So in school, there's a lot of group projects, a lot of group activities and things like that. Now you finish a class and you come out, and maybe the person next to you has the answer or has made the mistake that you don't want to make, and now you're learning from them too. So I think learning happens in the classes, but a lot of the learning happens while they're co-working as well.
So with the 6250, how many individuals are in that cohort?
15 right now.
So it's $400 each, probably, for 16?
189 each, and then I guess a management, whatever the management difference is. So 189 times 15 is what our standard full-time membership is.
I'm just trying to calculate the 6250 by individual. Do you have that?
I could do the math for you, like.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I guess 416.
416, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Any other questions?
Not me.
Sir, thank you.
All right, Mr. Rivera, thank you very much.
All right, thank
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, presentation of Edinburgh Consolidated Independent School District baseball head coaches regarding the first annual Edinburgh All-American Classic Baseball Tournament. Ms. Ramirez.
Yes, sir. We have some of the baseball coaches here to present on the first annual tournament you just mentioned. That's what,
Mr. Enriquez, distinguished members of the EDC, I'd like to begin this evening by introducing these gentlemen behind me. First, to my right, we have Mr. Rigo Sanchez, head baseball coach representing Edinburgh Economides High School. To my left, you have Coach Jaime Perez, head coach of Robert Vela High School. Could not be with us this night for a family function is Coach Damian Gonzalez. He is the head coach at Edinburgh North High School, and I am Robert Valdez, head coach of Edinburgh High School. We're here this evening to announce in its first ever occurrence in the history of ECISD, you'll notice in front of you, we will be hosting the first annual All-American Baseball Classic. This will consist of 24 teams from within the region. The 24 teams are listed in front of you. They'll be ranging from Harlingen all the way to Roma. We are pleased to announce that we do have teams this year traveling from San Antonio and the Coastal Bend area in Corpus Christi King. This tournament was put together within a matter of 48 hours as a collaborative effort of the 4 high school and the 4 head coaches. And our prior experience and the experience of the children or the student athletes of Edinburgh, we've always had to go outside of our city. One of the biggest ones held in the state of Texas that we attend every year is the Border Olympics in Laredo, Texas. We're trying to incorporate what they do there and bring to our hometown. To give you some of the demographics that happens in Laredo, they have 50 teams from across the state of Texas that travel to Laredo the third weekend in February. They generate $2.6 million in 72 hours as an economic boost to the city of Laredo. We are trying to incorporate that and bring that to the city of Edinburgh with the motto of putting heads in beds. Our vision this year got us to 24 teams. In the immediate outlook, next year we already have 16 teams on a waiting list. It is our projection that next year this time we will be hosting 48 teams in the city of Edinburgh to play baseball in 72-hour time period. It is a much improved boost to our economic, not only the experience to the student athletes and the citizens of Edinburgh.
Coach, real quick.
Yes, sir.
How many teams does Laredo have?
Laredo takes the top 50.
50.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This tournament that we have organized this year is the largest tournament that will be held in the Rio Grande Valley, in the immediate here, what we know as the Valley. To give you an idea of the scheduling or the expenditures, well, our biggest confrontation is that we host these tournaments and they are self-funded, so it's up to us. What we are seeking is a joint partnership with you all to make this experience possible. Our biggest expense, of course, is the officiating. We have a total of 48 games that would be played in a 48-hour period, and it would cost us an expense of $6,720 just to pay the officials for hosting this tournament. Other ideas that we've asked for in this consideration to make it feasible for these teams is the awarding of plaques to the winner of each pool, and also to give them, each student athlete, a T-shirt commemorating their visit and participation here within our city in our tournament. So this is our biggest expense that we have. When we get into our playing schedule, you'll notice Thursday's schedule will have a total of 6 games
Coach,
per
excuse
high
me.
school.
Can you go back? Did you
Yes,
have
sir.
the cost on the plaques per site and the
No,
T-shirts?
sir, we have not, because ballpark, we're usually looking, a $40 plaque to be presented to the team for the school's trophy case.
Okay,
That's
so
what
40 times-
Yes, sir.
24 teams?
Yes, sir. Well, it would go to the top 3 at each site. There's 6 total teams. You would just give the top 3 places.
Oh, so
at each
$120
site.
bucks.
Yes, sir.
And then the shirts?
The shirts, we would work with a local vendor for a fair and competitive price to see who could give us the best. We're looking at servicing almost 500 student athletes and participating in the 24 teams. As
Thank
you'll
you.
notice on the game schedule, each high school would be hosting a total of 6 games per day, starting at 9 in the morning and running through 9:30 at night. What we have asked of these coaches that are visiting in their confirmation is that at least 2 of their meals be solicited to our local merchants and vendors. We've already worked with Jason's Deli, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, the Whataburgers, where they're going to be able to provide delivery service to each campus to ensure that those teams are giving back to our community and soliciting our establishment here within the city of Edinburgh. But this is the game schedule of each of the 2 days we have. And that is our short presentation. If you would have any questions, we're here to answer anything that we could.
So, Coach,
Yes, sir.
you're asking for financial
Assistance.
participation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, from the EDC.
Correct.
Now,
We had submitted a letter.
you have?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That letter was emailed. We're asking for a $10,000 sponsorship
Okay.
is what we're asking for.
And that $10,000 will be used to pay for the umpires,
Yes, sir.
the plaques,
The plaques.
and
And the
the
T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Yes, sir.
Are you soliciting any other sponsorships from private businesses?
Yes, sir. We are corporate sponsorship through advertisement throughout the tournament that we're also carrying over through the ballpark itself as far as advertisement during the actual tournament.
Okay, so will you be paying for any of the facilities that you're
The use of the
using?
facilities and our expense from the school district is the paying of the police officers and security.
So not the
During these
rental of the
events.
fields, not the payment of the lights.
No, sir.
It's strictly just, it's
That
strict,
was granted through Garza?
Through the school district.
That is correct.
okay, so it's strictly just the school district police officers and security
Correct.
for the 2 nights.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you were to be granted the $10,000,
Yes,
and
sir.
of course you receive sponsors from private businesses,
Yes, sir.
your revenue will be a lot higher than what you anticipate in expenditures, correct? So what do you plan to do with that difference if you're in the black? Do you plan on incorporating to do this on a yearly basis?
Yes, sir.
To where and so who's going to be in charge of that account? Who's going to be
Edinburgh
having
High School
access?
this year, through our bookkeeper, which is also audited and regulated through our payroll department, is overseeing that.
Okay, so all those funds will be audited?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It'll be dispersed to all 4.
It's not going to be through a booster club or anything like that? It's going to be strictly through the school district?
That is correct.
Okay. Would it be through your activity fund type of thing, or each
Yes,
of the
sir.
baseball budgets, the athletic
What
budget?
it is it is a tournament activity fund that has been set up just for the creation of this
Okay,
tournament.
so they have a fund for
Correct.
this
That way,
particular...
everything is
Okay.
transparent, and we're able to monitor all incoming donations, whatever we've gathered, and whatever expenditures we have going out, so that it can all be transparent.
And so out of those 24 teams that you have signed up,
Yes, sir.
you said 2 are from out of the valley.
Out of the valley this
So
year.
those are the only 2 that will be actually staying here in Edinburgh?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
you've
sir.
made commitments that
They are
for them to
staying
stay
the
here in Edinburgh?
hotels.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All the other teams will be traveling from
Back and
Roma
forth.
or Harlingen or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Where is this taking place at? What fields?
It'll be at all 4 high schools.
Okay.
Each high school will has their own game field, and games will be taking place on a daily basis at each represented high school.
And that's already been set?
Yes, sir.
When is this tournament?
This is March 9th and 10th, the weekend prior to Texas Public School spring break week. And we've also targeted these 2 days in conjunction because our athletic department also hosts the Cats relays that Saturday. So it's a whole weekend of athletic events prior to spring break week.
Well, you got some people here from the Chamber of Commerce, some directors that I would highly suggest that you speak to them to see
Yes, sir.
what they can do so that we can reach out to some other businesses and be able to facilitate that, because I think it's a great thing that you're doing, and I commend you for that.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question. You
Yes, sir.
mentioned you're talking to the restaurants or having them commit. Are you also committing them to possibly the hotels here locally, or how are you?
Yes, sir. We have been in contact to try and arrange, because since they are schools, they do receive a certain portion of tax exempt, but not the hotel occupancy tax. So they are at a governmental and flat rate, and we're working with assuring that those teams that are coming from San Antonio and Corpus stay in our hotels within the city of Edinburgh. So we are working with them to help facilitate those teams that are coming in.
And have the hotels been contacted, and are they offering any
sir.
incentives to
They
say
have
we're
been
part of the
contacted.
tournament, we get a different rate or anything?
Yes, sir. And what they have offered is a governmental rate that's offered to the school.
Any other questions? Coach Valdez, I appreciate you being here, and I commend all four of you with Mr. Gonzalez, Coach Gonzalez. I know you guys, and I'm happy that we're doing things for the kids, because our kids definitely need that experience. They need that exposure. And if we can get it to the point where we're having, 50, 75 teams, that would definitely help with the competition, one. Two, it would help with the economic impact in our city. So we really appreciate the efforts that you have been doing, and hopefully that the city will be able to provide the facilities that you all will need once you get to that point where you have 50, 75 teams. So
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And we'll definitely at our next meeting take up this item for consideration for your. Do we have that letter, Ms.
No, I
Ramirez?
didn't receive that.
Okay, can you resend that letter so what you're offering or what you're proposing?
Yes, sir.
And then we'll make a decision
Okay.
at our next meeting.
Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Number 8, discuss and consider approving a sponsorship for the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. What's that?
Number 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip 7? Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Discuss and consider approving sponsorship for the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce Fiesta Edinburgh event. Ms. Ramirez.
Yes, sir. We received a request from the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce for the Fiesta Edinburgh event. It's an event that the EDC has been sponsoring for many, many years. The request for this year that we received is for $15,000 for the event that will be held February 22nd through the 25th at the Edinburgh Municipal Park. We have Ms. Letty Gonzalez and several other members of the chamber here present for any questions.
Good evening, EDC Board of Directors. My name is Letty Gonzalez, and I'm president of the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce and the Edinburgh Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're very, very excited this year. With me, I have Ronnie Alalde, who's my marketing director. I have JJ Flores, who's one of my board members, who's with Chorizo San Manuel and one of my vice chair of special events. And I have Elva Jackson Garza, who's with Edwards Abstract and Title Company, and she's one of my board members. And we're basically here today to request, we've been working cooperatively, for years with the Edinburgh Economic Development in order for us to bring a very festive event to our city. And believe it or not, this is going to be our 50th annual celebration. And if you all don't know why we celebrate it because Edinburgh is the county seat. So we're very excited this year because, pardon me, yes, sir.
I'm kidding. Okay.
Edinburgh is the county seat, so we have a big celebration going. We're very excited because we do have some trail riders that are going to be working on the actual reenactment of, with a wagon and horses and bringing, our records to our city right before the parade. We have a whole lineup of entertainment, but I want to let you all know that it's not just about a feel-good event. It is for us because we do something very good for the community and the surrounding areas, but our event keeps getting bigger and bigger. And when we do an event like the ones we do, because we're not only a chamber that works on, seminars, ribbon cuttings, groundbreakings, and benefits to our members, but we try to bring in people from outside the area. So our event, we feel, has a huge economic impact that weekend because maybe back then in the early years, it was just something local. But with the bigger acts and the entertainment that we're bringing, it puts heads in beds. People eat with their families before or after an event. People shop at our convenience stores. They pump gas. They buy cigarettes. And they're here for the whole weekend because our event starts on Thursday and ends on Sunday. So we know for sure because we have that one-on-one communication with our hoteliers.
So who's performing? Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Mr.
I'm
Gonzalez.
going to let Ronnie talk
Okay.
about the entertainment real quick because he has a
Okay.
schedule.
Okay, so hello, good evening. It's a 4-day event. So on Thursday, we have the carnival rolls in. The Heart of America Carnival will come in. It's a big day. We team up with the school district and we help put together some pamphlets that it gets distributed out to the schools so they can come and enjoy family time. And we have close to about 7,000 people, and it's a very big attraction for that day. As far as on Friday, we kick off at 5 p.m., and this is all taking place at Edinburgh Municipal Park. And our headliner for that evening is Intercollegiate. That's another first entertainment draw that we've had here in the city of Edinburgh. And on Saturday, Letty was touching base on the Fiesta Parade starting that morning. And of course, at 1 o'clock, we'll have more entertainment at the park. As far as we have interaction shows, attractions, performances by local dancers. In the past, we've had conjuntos and folclórico festivals. And then on Sunday, we close out, the weekend with the carnival. And that's Fiesta Edinburgh quickly in 4 days. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of other businesses that do contribute to the event as well, and a lot of volunteers that help provide this festival to keep, like Letty touched, bringing in people into Edinburgh, but also giving a quality and affordable event to the community.
So, I don't know if you all heard about the meeting last week. I asked a question at our city council meeting regarding the hot tax and of what is funded through hot tax. And they said one of the things is the chamber.
Yes, our hot tax is funded for the chamber, and I'm going to be very honest with you. That is one person's salary from the hot tax. We've had the same budget for at least 15 years.
Right.
And we've had 2 new hotels.
Right, and that's where I was getting to.
Yes.
My question was going to be, has the city increased, with the increase in hot tax that we've had, has the city increased it by the same percentage?
No, sir.
Okay, so your budget has stayed the same for the last, how many years?
At least 15 years.
At least 15 years.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make that clear.
Yes.
So what you're requesting is $15,000 assistance for the Fiesta Edinburgh.
Yes, and I'm going to be honest with you. It's basically to cover a lot of the entertainment because we do want to make it very, very reasonable and priced because we do have volunteers that help us at the gate, and it's very, heartfelt when you see a family, and we would like to be like other events where they charge $15 to park your car and then $12 at the gate, and then you have to pay an extra to go to the concert. Well, we don't want to do that. Lately we've been doing, if you're 10 and under, you're free. If you're older, you pay $5. If you want to go to the concert, in the past it used to be, free. So it has increased over the years, but we've noticed that it does make a huge and a bigger impact on our city when we bring,
Right.
and try to provide.
And in the show that you have on Friday,
Yes, sir.
what time does that show start?
That's the main headliner. The gates open at 5 p.m.
Right.
But the headliner goes on at 10 p.m.
Okay, so between 5 and 10, the headliner would be Intocable, right?
Yes.
So between 5 and 10, there's going to be a lot of people coming in and eating first, coming into our city, eating at our restaurants, you know, pumping gas or whatever, getting
gas.
prepared for their night
At
to hear
for the event.
Intocable, right?
Yes, sir.
And I hear they're pretty good.
We've been trying to get them for years, and
Okay.
they're finally here for the first time in our city.
Okay. So my next question to you is, out of the hot tax, how much is provided? What's your budget? What do you receive out of that hot tax?
For the hot tax money, we've been receiving $186,500.
186,000? Okay.
And there, of course, there's more collected, I'm sure.
No, you're right.
Yeah, we're not the only
As I saw
entity.
last,
Yes.
at our last meeting,
Oh, okay.
there's a lot more collected.
Yes,
So
there
that's
is.
why I was asking. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? All right. It's discussion, consider approving a sponsorship. So do I have a motion?
So move.
I have a
Motion to
motion. Motion to approve by Mr. Posadas. Do I have a second? I'll second. I'll second. I'll second that motion. So we have a second by myself, Gilbert Enriquez. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Mr. Carranza will abstain because he is a board member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much. We certainly
All right,
appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And good luck. I hope to make it. I hope to be there. So, number 8, discuss and consider approving a sponsorship for the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley Festival event. Ms. Ramirez.
Yes, sir. This is another request that we received from the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley for the FESIVA event. It's the Festival of International Books and Arts event. It will be held in February 27th through March 5th. They have it at different events, University, City Hall, and then the various schools throughout Edinburgh. It is usually a co-sponsored event that we partner with the city on. I understand that the city has participated $5,000 towards this event for 2018. The request for sponsorship that we received was for, let's see. if
Are they
I have
here?
that. They're not present
They're not
today, no. I have that.
So they're asking for $5,000?
They're asking for $20,000 total.
Oh, 20. Oh,
$20,000 total, and they were requesting $10,000 from the city and $10,000 from the EEDC.
And the
city has paid $5,000 to sponsor this event for this year.
I don't remember. Was that one?
It might have been something that was budgeted or paid, might have been at the beginning of the fiscal year. I'm not sure when it was paid out, but I know it was for this 2018 event.
Okay. Any discussion?
Why did the city go to 5?
I'm not sure. It might have been half of the
This was
10.
before my time. I don't know.
Good one.
It actually
I'm
was.
just kidding. So what's the economic impact on this festival?
Not sure if that was included. Let me look through it.
If you'd like, we can take no action on it, have them come and do a presentation. Since they're not here today, at least give them one more opportunity to come in and present. Sure. You want to do that? Okay. So then we'll take no action in our next meeting. Have them come over here.
Okay.
Is this something that, when was this taking place? Oh, February 27th?
The end of February.
Okay. So we
Time.
still have some time. Okay. All right, so number 9, discuss and consider authorizing Assistant Executive Director to enter into a sponsorship agreement with the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley for its Department of Intercollegiate Athletics. Ms.
Yes.
Ramirez.
Yes, sir. This is another sponsorship request that we received from the university for the athletics program. We previously, 3 years ago, we had a 3-year contract with the university for its athletic program. It was a total of $75,000 for the sponsorship at $25,000 per year for the 3 years. We paid out our last payment this last November. And this request is for the new fiscal year, for another 3-year another 3-year sponsorship. I believe we have Mr. Lance Morgan with the university present here.
Mr. Morgan, thank you for being here. Want to say a few
Yeah.
words?
Good
Okay.
evening, President Enriquez and board members. Thanks for allowing me to come visit. I'm sorry I'm getting over a cold.
As
Struggling
long
a
as you're
little
getting
bit.
over and you're not getting
Yeah, I'm getting over it. I'm getting over it. Yes, this is a request to renew the sponsorship at the existing level of $25,000 per year for a 3-year term. The current term will end in June at the end of this school year. So we can provide to you what the EDC receives in terms of sponsorship opportunities, signage, etc. We do appreciate the previous support. It was interesting listening to you guys ask the questions about the baseball tournament. It's important in perspective to know that we host 118 visiting teams, most of them from out of state, during the year at our various events, home contests, all of which stay here in Edinburgh at our local hotels. We've got a new agreement with Town Place Suites by Marriott, and they all use local vendors for food, etc. So,
Well, maybe they can. The school district can use this tournament. They can use the baseball stadium for the championship game.
that would be an excellent idea.
That would be something that you might want to pitch to them.
That would be an excellent
I
idea.
think the kids would love that.
I
to
think
play in
so,
a
too.
stadium like that.
I agree with you. Yes. So I'm here to answer any specific questions you have.
Well, my question is, who designated these areas a sponsor? Like
Those
for the
were
field
done.
house and the stadium and the baseball stadium and all that. Who decided that those were the best areas to market our city?
Those were conversations initially between Athletic Director Chris King and Gus Garcia. And then starting about 2 years ago, there were discussions with myself and Gus Garcia.
Well, I would think that is there still an opportunity to revisit those?
Yes, sir. We are still, we've got 4 months left in our 5 months left in our existing agreement before
This one takes effect.
before this one would take place. We have time to discuss.
Okay. Any questions? No questions? All right. This is for consideration as well. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You proposing, Mr. President, that we hold off until we talk a little bit more?
Or we can just approve it based on, future negotiations on the placement of the advertisement. I mean, that could be negotiated. The fee isn't going to change. It's just the placement of if it's at the baseball stadium, the field house, or soccer field, right?
Yes,
sir. Magazines. I think you all have a couple of marquees as well.
Yes, sir.
So-
We've got signage around campus. There are other ways also that the sponsorship can be delivered. Social media outreach.
Basically, we're getting $25,000 a year worth of sponsorship.
Exactly.
And
yes, sir.
wherever that goes, that's so.
I move that we go ahead and approve this with the future negotiations on the possible
Placement
movement.
of the advertisement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's your motion by
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sauceda. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. So we're authorizing the executive director to enter an agreement with the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley Athletics, Intercollegiate Athletics Department for a 3-year term. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you for your continued support of UTRGV Athletics.
No, thank you
Thank you.
for being a part of our city.